Last week, I got amazing advice from billionaire Jeff Hoffman. Jeff and I had been to dinner, which was really, really cool. He was in town here in Austin because he, as a billionaire founder of Priceline.com, Booking.com, et cetera, had been invited to come and speak at this event, Profit Multipliers. So the night before the event, I hosted a private invite-only dinner, included Jeff and a few other leaders, including some Fortune 500 execs and past execs. And Jeff shared tons of incredible wisdom on how he scaled Booking.com, Ubid.com, Priceline.com. One of the big lessons that Jeff offered during his talk was that you need to win a gold medal at one thing. Specifically, what he means is you need to be focused on your business doing one thing. Not two, not five, not 10, but just one. And what's really interesting is as soon as you realize this, you start seeing how true this is everywhere. Jeff went on to show that Federal Express or FedEx was known right from the beginning as the one company you go to when it absolutely positively has to be there overnight. He also shared that Zappos did exactly one thing. Before it sold purses and other clothing, it sold shoes and only shoes, and that's it. Jeff's company, Priceline and Booking.com, in the beginning, just hotels and only hotels alone. In fact, he said that they had tried to do some with airlines, and it really diluted their focus. So where they really got great velocity was by really focusing on just hotel rooms. I know that in my own company, my company, greatassistant.com, many years ago, I made the strategic choice to do just one thing. And so our company does only executive assistant placements, and it's only EAs in the United States and Canada, and we only serve entrepreneurs in the US and Canada. This same theme of picking one thing that your business does extremely well shows up again in the book Built to Sell by John Warrillow. It talks about a graphic design company. It's like a business fable where they're doing websites and they're doing brochures and they're doing logos and on and on and on. And the business is unsellable and it's unscalable. So in the story, the expert coach to the entrepreneur says, you got to pick one thing. And so the business owner ends up picking logos. And that allows them to really line up all of their teammates around this one thing, becoming the best in the world at logos. And that made for redundancy in case one teammate had to leave. Then guess what? There was other teammates there because they all kind of did this similar kind of deliverable. Same message of doing one thing shows up in the book Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz. He refers to the queen bee role. So just like the business of a beehive, the number one thing that keeps it moving is the queen bee laying eggs. As long as that can continue going, the beehive can continue growing. And if that gets threatened, all the bees start to swarm and protect the queen, or if the queen's kind of dying, then they need a new queen, and that is essential. Now, it's not quite the same thing, but Jay Papasan, I was chatting with him a little while ago. He's the author of The One Thing along with Gary Keller, and they focus in this book, I would say, predominantly on personal productivity, being like, what's the one thing I need to do today or this week or this month or this quarter or this year, such that everything else is easier or unnecessary. Nonetheless, if you know the name Keller, Jay's co-author Gary Keller, it's because you've probably heard of Keller Williams Real Estate. And what does Keller Williams do? They sell houses. They do one thing and one thing only. I think they've maybe branched out a little bit since then. I don't know for sure, but it's just interesting how much this shows up over and over and over and over again. So when it comes to being able to scale a business, it's interesting how often we need to simplify before we amplify. And that was very much my experience. I was a consultant and I knew how to do marketing. I knew how to do operations. I knew how to do hiring. I was certified as a Colby certified consultant. If you know what that is, it's kind of like StrengthsFinder, very different, but kind of same deal that it's a psychometric assessment. There's like a lot of different things I knew how to do. And the problem was that every time I would get a new client, I had to go and be the one to deliver the service because I'm the only one who was Colby certified or knew what a click-through rate was, et cetera, et cetera. And it was really this really punishing type situation. So it dawned on me, I wish I would have had the benefit of meeting Jeff Hoffman and reading all these books sooner, but it made me realize I needed to pick one thing that we did. And so that was hiring executive assistants that were remote, located in the US and Canada. Now, I think to go one step further, and Jeff actually talked about this in his presentation some, he said that, you need to have a, what is the single question you're answering? The way that we defined that at Great Assistant a few years ago was, we called it what is our prime core deliverable? What's the one thing that needs to happen? If nothing else happens, what's the one thing that has to happen? So, our customers could have a pleasant time. They could, really respect us. They could feel really honored by us. They could get a thank you card in the mail. All these things could happen, but if they didn't actually get their time back, it was not a successful engagement. Now, the interesting thing is, what you would expect us to do is to get an executive assistant for an entrepreneur. But even if we accomplished that, if the entrepreneur got the assistant, but the entrepreneur still didn't get their time back because either the assistant was no good or the entrepreneur was no good at using the assistant, either way, the entrepreneur has not gotten any time back, and therefore they're not going to be singing our praises. And even if that entrepreneur feels guilty because they realize they were the problem, if they don't get a win, they're probably not going to be a raving fan. They're not going to be singing from the rooftops about this amazing breakthrough they got with getting all their time back, because they hadn't. And it's not my company's fault. It's their fault for not using their assistant right, but they're not singing our praises. So I love the book Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. He talks about his experience in Ramadi as a Navy SEAL, leading Navy SEAL teams, and a really big breakthrough for their Navy SEAL team was taking extreme ownership. Even if something maybe technically wasn't a person's fault, if something went wrong, everyone on the platoon, if that's the right word, all said, what could have I done to create a better result? And that was the idea of extreme ownership. So at my company, once we knew what our prime core deliverable was, which was entrepreneurs, our clients, entrepreneurs had to get their time back. Once we knew that was the prime core deliverable, suddenly that changed how we delivered our services. No longer did we just help the entrepreneur get an executive assistant, but I actually also created an online course that would teach them what to delegate, how to do an interview, how to create an interview guide, how to have your first meeting with your assistant, how to do a weekly alignment meeting with your assistant once you've got them. All these things they would need to know. And what's interesting is we saw our success rate go up. Then after that, we had a new problem. We had all this great training, but not all of our clients are actually studying it. And so we then introduced a client success coach. So I literally went out and I was the client success coach to learn what needs to happen for an entrepreneur to feel successful. Do I need to teach them on a call, or can I just give them the recordings and I hold them accountable by being there? Do I need to answer questions? How often are they flaking? What kind of reminders do they need? All the things that would need to happen so the entrepreneur actually accomplished the curriculum. So we did that. And so now we're not only getting an assistant for our clients, but we're also giving them a curriculum to follow on exactly how to be a great leader to go along with their great assistant. And now we're also providing a client success coach that helps the entrepreneur to fully implement and be fully ready to go. By the first day that assistant is hired, there's really no question what needs to happen next. The entrepreneur was ready to go. And that was really, really nice, because a lot of our clients, maybe they haven't been successful with an assistant before. In fact, sometimes they've failed 2-3 times before they come to us, before they finally succeed. And so, they kind of have a little PTSD and they want to know, is it really their fault? What do they need to do to be successful? And so to experience a very clear roadmap and say, here's what needs to be true, so you've done your part. So many of our clients just oh my goodness, thank you so much. That is such a relief. And I would say on my end, as the business owner, I could now also kind of isolate variables. Previously, before we had the curriculum and before I had the client success coach, the entrepreneur might say, I want a different assistant. I want to use my guarantee. Get me someone else. But I don't really know if that's because the assistant was bad or the entrepreneur just didn't know how to lead them or how to use them. By having this whole client success coach and curriculum in place, all of a sudden now there was no question that the entrepreneur was not the problem, because we had coached them the whole way through. And it made it feel a lot more digestible for me to be doing rematches every now and then when they came up. They didn't come up often, but when they did, it's expensive. It cost my company thousands of dollars to do a rematch. And obviously for the entrepreneur, they don't want that either. They don't want the inconvenience and the delay of having to start all over with someone else. So really answering not only the question, what is my gold medal promise, But to also, which is a Jeff Hoffman statement, then a Tim Francis statement to say, what is my prime core deliverable? What is the one thing my clients have to experience? And it may not be what you think it is. And I'll give you one other example. A client of mine who I advise, they help entrepreneurs to get a book written. So it's a company where the entrepreneur gets interviewed for a handful of hours, and then after that, this company will actually go and write the book entirely for the entrepreneur. Obviously, the entrepreneur gets to take a look at the book, at the manuscript, give edits if needed, and then they go back and forth a couple times. The idea is that it's a really, really lightweight way for someone to write a book. If they're a busy professional, they might be a financial planner or a real estate agent or someone like that. They just don't have time to put like 100 hours into writing a book. So that's where this business steps in. I was asking the leadership a little while ago, what's the prime core deliverable of your service? And on the surface, you might say, oh, well, obviously getting a book written. Wouldn't that be the main core deliverable? I mean, it's what people come for. And I said, I don't know about that. If someone gets a book and that's all they get, I'm going to guess they're going to feel a little bit empty. If they don't actually get more clients because of your book that you've written for them, then it's kind of a failed project. On the other hand, you could write them a half-good book, but if you then guided them on how to use that book to double their business, oh my goodness, they would be delirious happy with you. So even though the surface promise is going to write a book for you, the prime core deliverable is, let's say, 50% more clients within a year. But I think a year is a little too long to wait. Let's just even say first client within 60 days of the first extra client within 60 days of the book being published or something like that. So my question to you is, what is the gold medal, as like Jeff Hoffman, what is the gold medal offering that you have? What's the one thing you do that you're known for? And so for us, it's getting an executive assistant so you can get your time back. What is your one core deliverable? It's maybe not what you think it is. And so for us, that is helping an entrepreneur get their time back. And if that's not successful, it's not going to work at all. If you love what I've shared here, my name is Tim Francis, and my socials across the board are realtimfrancis.com. You can find me anywhere that you like. And furthermore, if you like what I'm talking here about a scalable offer, then consider checking out gohp3.com, where I teach entrepreneurs how to build a service that is scalable, an offer that is scalable, so that you're not stuck on the front lines of your business anymore. With that, I hope that you're well, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Talk to you soon.